Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Barry.
This is Colby.
And this is Who Watches This.
Theme music. I was like, this is our special Sunday bonus episode. So we should have like a theme song. It'd be like, it's Sunday, bitches, wah, wah. It's Sunday, bitches, wah, wah.
We'll have an AI do it for us.
There we go, yeah. Chat GPT.
Right. What's going on, guys? Welcome to, I guess, a new segment we can call like mini-sodes.
Yes.
We usually do these during like months where we have a fifth Sunday, so... Hence the
right, because we theme it up for four movies per
Sunday
per month for our theme, and then every once in a while there's just that oddball fifth Sunday.
And we've been getting a lot of that recently. So this mini-sode content will be called the Fifth Sunday. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Usually we don't talk about movies, but we talk about more of like things around movies or shows or whatever.
Right, yep.
Right, we'll talk about like maybe there's some new news on an actor, actress, an IP that's going on. But today we're going to be talking about what I feel. This is something like kind of got to me like recently, and it's we're going to be talking about toxic fandoms. So I got a little spiel for you guys. So if you guys would allow me a couple minutes to spiel for you
because we like to define our terms, because I feel like that happens a lot where you have two people arguing two different sides of something, but they have defined the problem differently.
Yeah. Well, okay, so like being a fan isn't a problem. Of course, if something interests you to a great degree, then why not become a fan of it? You want to see more of it. You want to share it with people. You want to buy merchandise so you can show it off. You want to know the lore. You want to dig deeper into your favorite aspects of why you come to love this property. But when does being a fan become toxic, right? With the rise of the internet, people have been able to find communities to become a part of and have hearty discussions with. What is concerning, though, is that somewhere along the way, keyboard warriors have now waged war against each other. And it's not always just behind the keyboard, unfortunately. Fandoms essentially started in 1968 with Star Trek. Probably one of the first shows of its kind to be like that.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Thinking about it.
Yeah. Because back then it was like shows about beating your wife, straight to the moon, Just kidding. No, but it was just much more down to earth stories. You had like the Honeymooners, I Love Lucy, I Dream of Jeannie, which is still, it's fantastical, but it's a very grounded in reality, right?
Right.
Star Trek was the first of its, I think it was first of its kind in a visual format, like TV, where it was about space and the beyond and like fiction, like actually visualize fiction. I mean, I'm not saying that we didn't have fiction before.
Right.
But this is the first time like you was like, oh, fuck, there's an alien.
Right. And then if you had movies, it was like, here's a movie, here's the Blob, boom, and it was done.
Yeah. Nothing continuous, what's it called? Mars Attacks. Like all these like drive-in movies were just one and done. They weren't really properties to build a enterprise or like not enterprise.
I see what you did there.
An empire with, right? But it really gave a new rise to a generation that could have interests in other things besides, for the time, being like a man or act like a lady. It gave new interest to a generation that was sort of coming off of like World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, and it gave shelter to like people that were kind of more quote unquote nerds. And like, but the thing about those is that those kids that grew up on this have now pushed those interests into the mainstream, D&D, trading card games, video games, anime, cartoons. And that's great because it opens for a much more broader audience. It wasn't just like Westerns and Clint Eastwood telling a 12-year-old that she's old enough for kisses. That still surprises me to this day. I was like, why was that okay back then? But he also gave like a new generation of like different kind of movies. You know, with that it came movies like Star Wars, The Thing, you know, all the horror films that came out, Reanimator. Just yeah, it wasn't just a drive-in movie anymore. A lot of these things became more household names.
Almost like VHS came out and they could make these movies and they didn't just have to go to a drive-in if some theater decided to play it. It was like, hey, we could put this in a video store and people can pick up things that they never heard of before.
Yeah, you know, Be Kind, Rewind, you know, the start of the neighborhood video guy.
Yep.
And your VHS store is going to be popping if you had that one section that was that had a curtain in front of it. That's where the dads were going.
I remember walking by there and you just kind of reach in and you just whatever you could grab, you just take it over to the like music video section or whatever, so you could look at the back. Because sometimes there was actually a boob on the back. Yeah.
Some bush.
Well, on the boxes, it usually wasn't that.
But Colby, like, I mean, like, you know, I'm not saying you weren't a part of like the rise of Star Trek. You're not that old, but you were sort of a part of this sort of this period of, you know, D&D, you know, just comic books and all that stuff, and and sort of like back then did you feel kind of like, oh, I don't want to like talk about it too much because, you know, people were nerd and
yes, there
you were a jock too, so
right. So it was I had my comic friends, and this was like the little group of people that I talked comics with, and then I went over to like, you know, when I was like on the swim team or whatever, then you didn't talk comics, that was, you know, you talked
like, you know, sports, you know,
right
technique. None of that nerd stuff. But there's also like sort of this very comical depiction of what a quote unquote nerd looks like. You know, thick glasses with the tape.
Yes, very Poindexter.
Frail bodies, and they're like talking about like, you guys are playing D&D. That's some nerd.
Right.
But now we're like, we're at like nerd heaven. This is like nerd heaven time.
Yeah.
The acceptance of all these things. But do you feel like now, because this really kind of just, all right, like, so like I said at the beginning of this whole thing, this idea for this episode kind of stemmed from a TikTok that I saw, where it was Christian Haydenson, you know, the guy who played Anakin Skywalker, and he was at the Star Wars convention in London. Yep. Where our friend Rick Danger from past episodes was able to attend.
Yeah, lucky dog.
So cool. But the overwhelming response that he got was not the same response that he got 20 years ago. Oh, right. Like, so when you saw that, like, how did you feel for him at that moment?
A year ago, that Star Wars Celebration was in Anaheim. And he made an appearance because Obi-Wan was getting ready. The Obi-Wan TV show was getting ready to come out. And so the two of them came out together to kind of talk about their show. And yes, it was interesting because it was like Mark Hamill had walked out. And it was like everybody went crazy. And yeah, totally like you said, it was like if you thought 10, 15 years earlier, he was like the meme of like
the Star Wars universe.
Right. He was like, he wasn't as bad as Jar Jar, but Jar Jar's like,
I have that on our discussion list right now too. You know, I actually wanted to talk about that, like on our TikTok, about how so many people were so excited to see Ahmed Best doing his best.
Right.
But I mean, because then, like, okay, so like, obviously, if you're listening to this episode and you've listened to all our other episodes, me and Colby obviously love like B movies. You know, we love corny dialogue, the campy movies, and all that stuff. So I want to ask you, when the prequels came out originally, how did you feel about Anakin Skywalker from was Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
So I was excited that they were expanding the Star Wars universe. I didn't have that distaste in my mouth for the prequels, but I certainly know lots of people at that point. Yeah, we had, my first comic store was open.
Yeah.
And yeah, you had people coming in there and just like,
trashing.
I am never watching Star Wars again. This is, they have ruined everything.
And it's funny because like a lot of I've had this discussion with other Star Wars fans before, and they always talk about how like that ruined it. But originally, what's it called? George Lucas had already written these 6 movies out.
Right.
So would that have changed if he went with the original first 3 instead of A New Hope? It's the Phantom Menace. Attack of the Clones. If that was the one that came out in the 70s and 80s, would this whole viewpoint change?
Probably.
Right?
Yeah, then it would have been this the New Hope that everybody would have hated.
Right? They're gonna be like, oh, that's not the Anakin I remember.
You're right. Where's Anakin? It was just a stupid Luke Skywalker jerk.
And Anakin's not evil. He's just misunderstood. And it's funny because like another thing that kind of spurred me to want to talk about like these toxic fandoms and like this feeling of entitlement that fans have is that there was a podcast with Freddie Prinze Jr. who is like a huge nerd as well. He was like a good looking nerd. He's the one that ruins it for other nerds. No, but he talks about because he has done voices for Star Wars Rebels, I believe.
Okay.
And he's talking about like the heat or the toxicity that's coming from the Star Wars fandom is he attributes it to, he's like saying like, well, you're just mad because those movies were for a different generation of kids.
Right. Yes, and it seems like I can understand that. Like if you watched New Hope when you were 12, then what Empire and Return of the Jedi came out by the time you were 20.
Yeah.
And so that was like your whole childhood was Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And now you're 40 and you're watching a movie that is kind of redoing the New Hope. So you're watching a movie that is hoping to grab that 12-year-old so that they can have the that 12-year-old go back and see movies when they're 16 and then when they're 18 or 20.
Yeah. And it's like that's not the Star Wars I grew up with.
Right.
But the thing about it is also too is like when you look at these like trilogies separately, like Phantom Menace and all that stuff, that's a much more political type of movie with like the story of a coming of age for a Jedi who's hailed with all this. He's pretty much a genius.
Right.
They hail him as like the genius of the Force, and it's funny because then like when you look at kids that were hailed geniuses when they're 10, 12,
right,
and look at them now, they're probably scanning your groceries, which is not like a bad thing, but it's not where you would have seen them in their life.
Yeah.
And so the prequels are a much more they were already an established world. It's like a more of a political like espionage movie when you think about it that way. And then when you look at A New Hope and that trilogy, it's much more of an adventure, like an adventure space opera.
Right.
Because it's like this kid who's now thrusted into this like rebel alliance, and then finding about his family, finding his all these things, and they're two different tones.
Very much.
But like what I'm coming at is like these Star Wars has kind of been hailed as like one of the most toxic fandoms ever.
Right.
right? And it's because of these older fans that just can't accept the change and the growth with it. Like, there's a bunch of different stories that need to be told. They're going to be told differently with different characters, and I really just wish that they would just chill out. And it's funny because, like, I was actually reading an article from the creator of Star Trek. Okay. And you would think Star Trek would have like a similar fan base, super toxic, super just very aggressive. And he's like, nah, our fandom's actually pretty cool. I don't know if maybe it's like the different lessons that show or that property has, with like Spock,
right.
logic and and all that. But are you kind of surprised that like he said that they're a surprisingly good bunch?
It's interesting because, like, yeah, even when, because I like going and see all like the Star Trek movies too. I had a comic store, I had to just like research.
Now, just because I enjoyed it doesn't mean anything.
But yeah, I mean, even if you didn't like a movie, or I feel like the only one that really had that kind of toxic backlash was the Next Generation that had William Shatner in it. And then they had William Shatner die. Yeah. And it was kind of like, the movie was like the passing of the torch. It was like, okay, the old one is done. We're not going to make any more movies, basically, because we're all old. Yeah. So we're going to, make our cameos in this one. We're passing the torch to Next Generation. Because it was Star Trek Generation.
Jean-Luc Picard.
Right. But I remember there being that backlash after that movie, be like, Next Generation, destroyed, Star Trek. That was my show. But yeah, again, it was like the fans of the original now were like, felt like they were getting replaced by the Next Generation
of fans, right? But then like after a while, after kind of absorbing the Next Generation TV show, they're like, wow, this is actually really good.
Right.
Then Jean-Luc Picard became like the almost like sort of the face of the franchise, because even now I think like
they've
a couple years ago, they got a Picard show. They don't got a William Shatner show, and Spock passed away. R.I.P.
Right.
He passed away, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Leonard Nimoy. I was like trying to think about it. Like, what's his name?
But they did try to go back and put some original movies out.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, but like even what's it called? Even with what's his face, Bad Robot guy, J.J. Abrams.
Yes.
When he did the movies, right, with Chris Pine as William Shatner's character, and like he sort of explained, hey, this is like a different timeline or different parallel universe. Was no backlash.
You have to.
Yeah, but then like the thing is like they did not like, oh, this isn't the story.
Right.
They just watched it, accepted it for what it was. Even in the next one, what was it called with Khan? With what's his name? Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, yep. And then the reversal of the scene with the Revenge of Khan in the original, where it was Spock in the chamber.
Yeah.
And then this one, it's William Shatner, not William Shatner, Chris Pine's character in the chamber. And fans kind of just accepted that, and they're like, wow, this is so cool. Like seeing the original and then now seeing it like sort of in a parallel universe. There wasn't much backlash. Now, I feel like if you tried to do that with Star Wars, they're like, whoa.
Right.
You need to stop.
Yeah.
One of the topics I did have, I don't want to talk too much about Star Wars, but
I didn't even think about it till I wonder if it's because original Star Wars and then Star Wars Next Generation and then Deep Space Nine, whatever.
Oh, Star Trek Next Generation.
Star Trek Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager.
Voyager, yeah.
Those story universes were all so separated.
Yeah.
That it was okay that they were... that the fans accepted them because they were
so far apart,
where here it's like that Luke was my dude, and now you're messing with his history.
But that was like,
and
that's also like 20 something years apart too, right?
Well, no, but it's still the same character. And that's because, like, when we're saying that, like, the one movie that I felt had some backlash was because it was a crossover between the two movies.
Oh yeah.
If they would have not crossed that over, that probably wouldn't have had that backlash.
Backlash, right? Yeah.
So I wonder if that's because Han Solo movie.
So, it was so good.
We'll get backlash, but like it's really probably in my top 3 favorite Star Wars movies.
Because it's a fun movie.
It ended, and the fan base crapped on that movie so hard that they canceled the sequel.
It's and that sucks so hard just because
they left it off as a cliffhanger they left it open to be the greatest sequel. Like Maul was gonna come back, and it was gonna
with the robot legs.
With the robot legs, we don't know that, but
it showed up on the hologram when he stood up. He had the robot legs.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Oh. And but fans, just couldn't accept that it wasn't freaking Harrison Ford. You guys gotta accept. At some point, Harrison Ford hated playing Han Solo. He loves Indiana Jones, not Han Solo. But so let's kind of just pick up our Star Wars our Star Wars points real fast. So yeah, I already talked about the hate for Hayden at the beginning, and now the love for him, because it's funny. I think the love for him is from the kids that watched the prequels before the originals,
right?
And that's fine. Ahmed Best, we talked about Jar Jar Binks, how the actor has I don't want to say redemption, but he was able to come back to the Star Wars to play a different character and to get the love that I feel like he really deserved, because the backlash from Jar Jar Binks was so bad that at one point he was thinking about committing suicide.
Yeah. And baby Anakin as the little kid had an awful lot of
I think
issues related to the movie afterwards, didn't he? And he ended up.
Oh yeah, I think his life is not great.
Yeah,
because of all the backlash that he got from it. I was like, dude, he's just a kid.
Right.
Even in the newer ones, which have now been redacted from Star Wars history, Rosemarie Tran, the sister in the second movie of the girl who sacrificed herself.
Oh, right, yeah.
She got a huge amount of backlash. And I'm like, she's just playing a character.
Right.
Don't hate the actual actress. It's not like she was the one who wrote her lines. So much so that in the next movie, she had 3 lines.
Right. Not it's in a different way that you had Joffrey from Game of Thrones, who played his part
so good,
so well that people hated him in real life because he did such a good job being a hated character that people couldn't separate that wasn't him.
Yeah. And that's minor. That's the worst part of that. It's that's a minor hate, and he's sort of had a hard time sort of accepting that.
Yeah.
Thing. The industry so far has just been rebooting a whole bunch of things, like the Ghostbuster reboot. I didn't watch it. I wasn't a huge Ghostbusters fan growing up. I was a fan of Slimer. I was a fan of the cartoons because that's what I grew up with.
Okay,
I watched the originals later, I think when I was a teenager. And so when they had the reboot, I think a lot of people had a lot of problem with it being sort of woke because now it's an all-female cast. But then they started attacking the actresses for their personal looks.
Right.
And I was like, come on.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah. I mean, it was. If you want to attack the writers because the jokes weren't as good, something like that, that's fine. But
the studio for trying to cater to like wokeness at the time.
Right. And yet sometimes you see a movie and you're like, that movie would have been good, but it was just cut so funny, or they needed to expand it, or it was too long. They didn't need to short, that kind of stuff happens. And then, you're not going to like every movie. Yeah. You're not me. Oh,
yeah. Colby's buying a whole lot of Blu-rays, guys. No. But yeah, why are you attacking, like personally attacking, like Leslie Jones? She got like terrible things said to her on Twitter. And I was like, you guys are out of pocket. Like, I feel like some people just don't need internet.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
And sometimes I wonder about that. I was like, because you used to have like, you'd watch a movie and then you talk to some friends and you'd have like, these 3 friends liked it, and these 2 friends didn't like it.
Yeah.
So you just didn't talk to the 2 friends who didn't like it. Like it. Not like you didn't ever talk to them, but you were like, I'm just not going to bring. They're Star Wars fans, not Star Trek fans. So I'm going to talk to them about Star Trek, and I'm going to talk to these guys about Star Wars, and we'll just avoid any conflict. Oh. But then you get that, like the internet makes it so easy to find a group that either loves what you love or hates what you hate.
Yeah. Or like you go to a forum that loves what you hate, and you go there just to stir and troll. And I'm not gonna say I haven't done that, but not to an extent where
Right.
I'd be like, that's stupid.
It's like you go to like a church and you point out inconsistencies in the Bible just to be a jerk, you or onto like a religious, the Catholic website or whatever, and you're like, hey, but this is how much rain would have come if it rained for 40 days and that wouldn't have flooded the earth, and so how could there be these and you start nitpicking the things that somebody truly love or truly believe, and then it just
spirals.
I don't know if you do it if people do it just to be a jerk, or if some people are just so full of hate that they.
Yeah, and like it's like, when you point out inconsistency, or like just have at least, if you have like very valid like subject points, and like you just have to like learn how to accept it. Like, oh, it's not perfect. Nothing ever is, but it's fun. Like I like to deep dive into this lore, and it's kind of stupid, but it's just fun for me. Like I feel like a lot of people have stopped respecting people's like just hobbies. Right. Like they have to be right. Like, no, if a Jedi went into Star Trek, it's
yes.
Who's more logical, a Jedi or what's his name? Vulcan? No. What is Spock?
Vulcan.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Who's more logical, Yoda or Spock?
Right. Yep.
Which, I mean, like, hey, don't get me wrong. Like, versus theory or like versus scenarios are always fun. Freddy versus Jason. Toxic Avenger versus Domin. Those are always fun. Those are like, to me, are like fan fictions. Those wouldn't take those things seriously. They're like, we'll just see who wins,
Right.
And I think that's why the YouTube channel Deathmatch, who is not sponsored, that's why a lot of people love watching those things. They still might disagree with it, but they're like, I can see where you're coming from.
Right.
We also I want to talk about other things too, like horror reboots. Okay, what are your thoughts on the 2013 Evil Dead?
I'm excited to see it.
No.
The one that came out.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I saw it.
But you knew a lot of people that were like, oh, trash.
Totally. And so to explain that, we go into like a different fandom. Mm-hmm. So comic books. Ran a comic store. I've literally read thousands of comics. I am certainly not the biggest expert on any one of them. I just enjoy them.
Yeah, you have a general knowledge. Yeah.
But early on, I had to learn to separate the comic book from the movie. Even before the movie started getting good, when they was like,
Blade,
the Fantastic Four movies, the Blade movies, the early Spider-Man. You're like,
oh, the Raimis.
Like I loved them, but it was I had to learn to separate the comic book from the movie.
Yeah.
And then I could enjoy both of them separately.
Oh, yeah.
Especially even when you had something that was like a very specific story. Like, I absolutely loved the Civil War comic storyline. And then they brought out the movie, and it was Civil War the movie. And it was like, I have to be diligent to separate the two because they are very
different stories.
Different story. The basic background story is the same.
Yeah.
But they are very different stories. And
scale wise too.
Yeah. And then like certainly at that time I had the comic store and you had people who were like, this is the greatest comic movie that ever was made. And then there was some people who came in and was like, I cannot believe they bastardized that story and did like, and what, there was no Spider-Man in it, and who would, this person wasn't there, and, and it was like, yeah, you those people haven't learned that to separate.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, with the horror movies, they restart a franchise, they give it a reboot. Yeah, you gotta go into it with fresh eyes.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that too is because I actually really loved the 2013 reboot for the Evil Dead movie, right? And it's funny because I talked to a lot of like people that are like, I would say older heads than me, I guess, because really I started that with watching, I believe, Army of Darkness. That's the first Evil Dead I watched, and then I backtracked to watch Evil Dead 1 and 2.
Okay.
But originally, if you go back to rewatch the first Evil Dead, it's a much more darker tone than the second one. I think Sam Raimi kind of maybe realized where the money was at, and he's like, all right, well, let's do this goofier version, a campy version of Evil Dead. And then, they did Army of Darkness, which I think lost the property rights to do Evil Dead thing, and then that's why they somehow were able to
Army of Darkness.
Yeah, somehow they're able to still keep the character, but not
lost the name.
Right. And then so when the 2013 came out, I remember the trailer for it, the marketing for it. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like so gory. This is gonna be so creepy, and it was. It was much more unsettling. It was much more. It was not campy.
Right.
It was very grim. It was very dark, and all that. And it's like a lot of people were like, "That's not the Evil Dead I know." Well, it's like, but then Sam Raimi's original vision was probably what the 2013 one did. He wanted it to be like dark.
Right, and that was something he was doing as like almost like a college film. Like he was doing it on a shoestring budget, doing it,
like for 5 years or something. Like the movie doesn't even have the same actors and actresses except for Bruce Campbell.
Right. Yep.
The more makeup the actor had on, the probability that it was a different person was stronger. And so and then like I hear so many people kind of complain, oh, well, that was not good. And I was like, no, it is really good. You just don't want to let go of Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness.
Right.
But hey, don't get me wrong, I love the Ash versus Evil Dead TV series. But that was a nice mix. It was a nice mix of being like disturbing, but then also having the campiness.
Right.
Which I was like, I'm great. I'm like happy that he's like found this medium that he's like, I want to do darkness, but I don't want to leave out what the fans actually like loved about 2 in Darkness. Mm-hmm. And it just sucks that like, I was like, oh man, it would have been cool to see maybe where that would go. But now we have Evil Dead Rises, so I'm super excited to watch that too. What was another movie I wanted to talk about?
So actually kind of like on that separation.
Yeah.
I just watched Ratchet. It's a Netflix series, and it's supposed to be the nurse that's based off of the nurse from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh.
That's a Jack Nicholson movie, and she's like this, like the head nurse for a psych ward. And it's a very different tone between the two movies. And it's like, I had to catch myself because I was like, no, the things she's doing are not the things that the nurse from the movie would do. And I was like, no, Colby, what? Same name. This is 30 years apart, different writers. This is the fantasy. This is the fanfic of that character, whatever you want to call it. It was actually a great show, but it was like a number of times I was like I was watching with Teresa, and she's like there was like a part, and she's like, oh my God, are they gonna kill her? And I was like, no, she can't, because like this is in the 50s, and the show happens, or the movie happens in the 70s, and she's still alive. So obviously they can't kill her. And she's like, shut up. What are you talking about?
Stop ruining it for me, you nerd. Another movie, I think, what's it called? The 2009 Friday the 13th. Now, a lot of people didn't like it, but it stars one of my favorite TV actors, Jared Padalecki, who is now the Texas Ranger and Supernatural. He was 15 seasons on Supernatural. But I thought it was a fine movie. Like, it had, Jason is kind of known for like having really cool kills. Right. There's boobs in it. He puts a girl in a sleeping bag and then puts her over a fire. That's a classic Jason type of kill. But people kind of just shat on it because it was like, oh, well, it's not about the camp. It was like, well, they're at the camp. It's just a different time of the camp. You don't think Jason kills during other times? You think Jason goes to Manhattan all the time?
Right.
Still one of my favorite Jason movies.
His time is thrown off since he went to space.
This is a continuation. Don't think about it as a reboot. Think about it as a continuation from Jason X. Still, Manhattan is one of my favorite ones because one of the actors actually put up a decent fight against Jason. It was like on the rooftop where he chopped the dude's head off, but he was like boxing him.
Yes. Yeah.
Super fun time. But that one was like, I think what does a great reboot is capturing just like the essence of like what the original was. Right. If you can keep that sort of feel, that kind of thing, then just shut off your brain and like enjoy this. Like this is like new, it's brand new, shiny. Right. And also, you're talking about comic books. That's one of our other topic of discussions. It's funny when you're talking about Civil War. I enjoyed it. I read the Civil War storyline too, much more grander scale than what they could put on the movie. Right. And the only thing I ever really harped on was like, man, the final battle was like just not the same, at the airport. Because on the comics, you had like hundreds of superheroes going at it. Right. And then,
it was all the superheroes.
and then on the movie, you had like about like 30. Or not even 30, like 20 maybe. Right. Much more smaller scale, but you just gotta enjoy things for what they are. Obviously, especially comic book storylines as prevalent as that, like Civil War, Avengers versus the X-Men, like those are going to be so hard to transition into like movie adaptations. Yeah. Avengers versus X-Men might be a little bit more easier. It doesn't have to be, the scale doesn't have to be so much more grander. But, it is what it is.
In comic books, you also got that group of original comic readers that hated you if you liked something, but you hadn't. Like, if you were like, I love Captain America, he was so great in the movies, and they're like, you can't like him if you didn't read comics. If you are not a comic book fan,
gatekeepers.
then you are not. Then you don't really like superheroes.
Yeah.
You just watch some movies and you think you know what you're talking about. But yeah, you're not a real fan.
Oh yeah, so this is like so we have toxic fandoms, but we also have like a subsidiary, right? And we call those gatekeepers.
Yes.
Like, you can't enjoy what I enjoy because you don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Right.
It's funny because like when you think about that, we could also put this in tandem with like anime fans, just because in the recent years, anime has blown up exponentially.
Right.
I remember in high school, like I had to go to like Key Club, which is pretty much Asian club, to watch anime with like, the guys there, and like it was kind of like, it felt like it felt like we were watching a porno.
Right.
Like, man, don't let the girls know we're watching anime. Meanwhile, I didn't know the girls were watching all the little shoujo, which is like female, more oriented anime, watching things like Chobits and Nana.
I was part of an anime club in college, and I remember finding people online who would take the original Japanese and then they would subtitle it on their computer and then send it out on like
hardcore fans
a blank VHS, and you were getting, that was the way to get stuff that it was like that wasn't at like Blockbuster or at Suncoast. Suncoast had a big selection
that had all the anime stuff. And it's funny because like now you could look at comments and be like, especially when girls say they're fans. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that there aren't some girls that are just using it to boost like their popularity, but there's way more girls that have just been into anime, but they're like a gatekeeper's like one of their obvious questions like, what's your favorite anime then? Well, that's just mainstream anime. You don't know this,
right? Yeah, you're only watching the stuff that's on Cartoon Network,
Okay, Toonami.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Oh my goodness, I remember that at the store too. And we used to sell anime and have stuff, and you get that a lot. There was like, oh yeah, you only know the American cartoons,
right?
And they would even call it that. You're not a fan of anime because you only know the American cartoons that are from Japan.
Yeah, you're a Toonami anime fan.
Yeah.
You're not an anime fan. And I'm like, gatekeepers are exactly what these people, like the negative stigma of like being fans of these things are.
Right.
You're the ones with the greasy hair. You know what I'm saying? And I like the unkempt body odor. You're the reason why there's this stigma or this sort of thing, just
I watched 980 episodes of One Piece this month.
Sir, it's 1,050 something. It's funny. I can't say that I haven't been a part of that. I'm like, are you even an anime fan if you haven't watched all of One Piece? But like at the end of the day, it's like a lot of people, hey, you can hate what I love, and that's fine, because then like obviously there's like this huge debate between like the big three, which is like the big three also is just a name. It's not like they're always the top dogs of anime, but it's like One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach, and like one's always saying like, well, that the pacing's horrible. Well, Naruto is a taku no jutsu. Like all he does is talk his enemies to death, and in Bleach the author gave up. And it's always so much discourse between like these fandoms that like it's so awesome that anybody would love something so much that they would defend it,
right?
But we also have to like just remember that to be good people.
Hey, and we didn't even get into the fight of you watch that dubbed? You're not even a fan if you watched it. If you're not reading your movies, then you are not a fan.
You know what I will say about this? This is the only thing I will say about sub versus dub. It feels like in the 90s they cared more about who dubbed who. Because like Cowboy Bebop, Yu Yu Hakusho, Gundam, like it felt like the actors that they actually picked looked like they fit the roles.
Right.
Now, the only reason I would say like I have to watch sub versus dub is because it just feels like when I watch it dub, I was like, do you guys even care about what you're doing?
Yeah, like a studio's like, here's our 5 people we've hired. They're gonna do 10 voices in every single anime.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. It's just like, oh, that's a guy, so our guy's gonna do that.
Yeah. Like, hey, like, you know, obviously there's freaking voice acting goats like Steve Bloom? The guy who did Cowboy Bebop.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
Chris Saban, who did like Vegeta, Kuwabara, Johnny Young Bosch, Mr. Black Ranger. He's classic. He has a good voice for like, you know, shonen main protagonists.
Right.
Like they have like a great range of like these voices that really fit the characters. But that was like back in the day. Now it's like it just like you said, it feels like studios have 10 actors on retainer. And like, hey, we're gonna need you on this project. You know, just whatever. Do whatever you feel like.
It's interesting when I recognize, like, even if I haven't watched anime for a while, and I'll like throw something on, and I'll be like, hey, that's Spike's voice, you know, or
exactly, or that's Chris Saban who did Vegeta. Kakarot.
See, I don't know any of the voice actors. Very few of the voice actors' names, so I'm always like, oh yeah, that's Hercule from Dragon Ball.
Exactly, but like, you know, very distinct. But like, you know, the voice actor for Hercule looked like he would sound like that.
Right.
Yeah. Just now, it doesn't really sound like that. Oh man, but yeah, like the main point of this whole thing is like, oh, and also another thing. Okay, first of all, I kind of agree with the fans that gave the studio that did the first iteration of Sonic, you know, Sonic with teeth.
So that was one of those things where that hate was all thrown out, and it wasn't like wait till the movie comes out and then wait till people like it and then be like, you're stupid for liking it because he didn't look like he did in the game.
Yeah, he had teeth.
It was just like it was a universal, when they saw it.
Yeah, you shouldn't have given it teeth, right?
Right.
But I felt so bad because the people who did do the CG and all that stuff, they obviously they went and redid the whole thing. But then I think that studio went bankrupt. Because they didn't get paid for the
whole first
redo.
Oh,
you know, and I was like, that's rough, man. Like honestly, like, so did you watch the Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
I have not.
Pretty good.
I've not seen either one.
I think I would have, like, you know, and it's funny because Jim Carrey is like, I don't think the studio should have backed down from that. They should have just released it. Because the story, honestly, if they had came out with the original with the, you know, Sonic with the small eyes and the teeth, kind of unsettling. You know, a lot of people had akined it to Uncanny Valley vibes, which is like, it looks kind of human, so it's a little unsettling. But I felt like the story was really solid. The voice actor was good for Sonic. You know, kind of reminded me of the cartoons with the chili cheese dogs. Sonic is really the reason why I've tried chili, by the way. And, you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is why I love pizza so much.
I love pizza before that, but
they made pizza look so much better, though.
Right.
There was always a magnificent cheese pool when they were eating pizza. Yeah. But no, like for the Sonic movie, story was solid, acting was solid, voice acting was solid. Everything about that movie was solid. It was just the teeth that kind of got to people.
Yeah,
which I get it, but you know, and I really wish they were like, you know, Jim Carrey's like, I really wish they didn't back down and they just went with the original, just to like show, because it also sets a very dangerous precedent for these studios, is that like these fans have shown that they have the ability to kind of control like what can happen, and like
right, and there is this entire episode, there is a very small, very vocal group that overshadows people's love for these movies.
Yeah, they like head the charge.
Yeah, and they're like sometimes they're so loud and obnoxious and so determined, even though it's like such a small group, that they make themselves seem enormous.
Yeah.
And it makes people feel like I can't say I like Jar Jar because so many, even if it's not that many people, this huge or this small but very boisterous group are like, Jar Jar's the worst Star Wars character ever. And then like, so you're like, I can't say that I liked him.
And you know what is really terrible is that Jar Jar was the greatest Sith to ever live.
If they would have done that, everybody would have had to go back and rewatch those movies and be like, holy crap, all the things I hate about him are now my favorite things in this movie.
Right? Just here you go. I'm gonna set the tone for you, right? Okay. Revenge of the Sith, right? Padme's funeral just comes to a close, right? What's it called? They go to Rosevere to grab Darth Vader's body. It's burnt to a crisp. It smells like something's burning in the house. They start to put the machines onto him, right? What's it called? Palpatine comes out of the dark and he's like, Padme has died. You killed her. And he was like, no. Yeah. And then what's it called? Darth Vader's like hands come down, his head sullen with the weight of guilt that's befallen him, right? And it does a close up, but then all of a sudden, all you hear is Misa thinks. Misa thinks things should change. And then all of a sudden you're like, what's going on? Darth Vader lifts his head up. He sees Palpatine in a kneeling position, a position he would have never thought he would see Palpatine in. And then out comes Jar Jar Binks,
right?
Eyes yellowed by the dark side. Oh my God. I think that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you would have to go rewatch the rest of the movies to sort of pick up on these hints.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would have been amazing. I'm just saying, because in his, it's funny because his Jar Jar Binks' whole storyline is kind of very similar to what's it called? To Yoda. When you first meet Yoda, he's like this like rambling idiot almost.
Right.
Very crazy. Same like Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks is able to destroy like those battle those freaking tanks.
Right. And it really wasn't even. It wasn't till the prequels when Yoda pulls out that sword to battle, and he's like parkouring around. That was the first time people were like, "Holy crap!" Yoda is like he's the shit.
He's Jedi Jesus,
right?
Yeah, but then Jar Jar Binks is able to take out these tanks. No lightsaber, no blaster, almost like a fumbling idiot,
right?
Just like Yoda. But yeah, like one final thing I just want to say is like the fandoms are great until they're not. Just because, obviously we have so much more access to people now. Especially like, writers, actors, they have like social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, maybe. And they technically could have more, like fans have more access to these people. But like when fandoms are like what I akin to what, what's it called? Jessica Bates? Is that her name? From Misery? Kathy Bates?
Kathy Bates.
I akin them to like very Kathy Bates, They're like, I don't like that. Rewrite it or else I'll break something else.
Right. I'm going to break your ankle till you rewrite it. Yeah.
Till you make it to where I feel like that's where the story should lead. And the issue with that, the issue because of the access being so immediate, before you could write a letter and they might read it, they might not.
Right, yeah.
But if you get,
your worst thing was you released the movie and 4 weeks later, Siskel and Ebert gave you a thumbs down.
Yeah. Yeah, but now you're maybe waking up to like 50,000 comments saying that you suck
off your first trailer.
Yeah.
That's come out like 6 months before the movie releases. Yeah.
like that could easily deter people from continuing on with projects.
Right.
Like
Totally.
George Lucas could be like, all right, I mean, he's already sold the Star Wars property, but he could just be like, all right, I'm shutting it down. No more Star Wars.
Right.
No more Star Trek. I'm tired of hearing it from you guys. Like, first of all, I wrote these, not you guys.
Right. Yeah. We'll just let people keep writing novels. They'll give me like 5 cents off of every copy that sells. I will continue to be a millionaire. I'm not going to worry about it. Right. It's novels, so you nerds aren't really going to read. You boisterous nerds aren't going to take the time to read those to complain about them.
And it's funny too. Yeah, like we both have equal. Like we both have friends who've read the novels. Read the extended universe. I've read a couple, but not to their points.
Right. Yep.
And like they just, obviously those are different stories of different people in the same universe, and they just enjoy it for what it is. Like, oh, that's really cool, Oh yeah, Jaina Solo. Oh,
Right. Our buddy Rick Danger has read like every book that contains Thrawn.
Oh,
that's
and
his
it's
dude.
super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it sucks because then like it's funny when you hear interviews of like these people and they're like, oh dude, I have a vault of things that you guys haven't even heard or seen, depending music or freaking artistry, right? And you're just like, well, can I see them? You're like, no. And like, why not? It was like, well, because it's not gonna like you guys aren't gonna like it. It's different. And you're like, well, can I see it still? Nope.
Right. Yep. That's half the reason, like, that I love doing this is because, like, like this podcast, because it's like we're watching movies that are just so underrated. People haven't seen things that we love, or things that like we're seeing for the first time, and we're like sharing our appreciation for them.
Yeah.
And that's when we try not to like, we try not to watch really bad things because we don't want to bash them, but we want to like, even if we have something that is mediocre, we're like, we're trying to point out the good points, the reasons why it was made, the reasons why you should still watch it, even though, it's not a Oscar contender.
Right. Or like, movies that are just so bad, it's good.
It's right.
Because I feel like if a movie can at least carry on to like a funny conversation, even if it's bad and I clown on it, but it still gave me sort of a joy into like making fun of it.
Yeah.
But I will never tell somebody like, no, you can kind of skip that. Like, no, you should watch it. That way we can clown on it together.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Because like at the end of the day, people still like everybody that works in this medium of like making movies and all that stuff, they still put the time, they still put the effort. It is what it is, right? And like, but all we're saying here is that just enjoy and respect each other. Like, it's so funny that like Wayman from Everything Everywhere All at Once is just like, hey, be kind. It's such a simple thing, right? It's a simple statement, and it's like just the most recent thing that came to mind. There's plenty of other movies that have said the same message.
Right. Yep.
And it still, for some reason, hasn't gone through. Like it's funny. Like when I get into arguments online, not really heated arguments. It's funny when I start to be like, hey, you know what? Like, we both disagree on a thing, but like it's cool that we could have this healthy discussion.
Right.
And then the response I usually get was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Like, all right. It seems like they're flustered, like, and I feel like it's funny because I feel like sometimes people feel personally attacked.
Right. The recent one was Gunn took over the DC studio, and people were like, ugh, and I was kind of like responding. I was like, hey, give him a chance. He's got some great ideas. I'm a huge fan of his stuff that he's done previously. I think he's got a. And people were like, no, bring back the Snyderverse. And it was like, everybody hated all the DC movies. And then all of a sudden you want to bring somebody in to like try to change it. And you're like, no, we hate change more than we hated the things that we hated.
I don't want a new dad. That's what it is, man. You guys all have abandonment issues. Like,
Yes.
and like, how could you like? It was funny because like, obviously, okay. So first of all, Gunn did have the whole controversy from early tweets where he was saying like out of pocket shit,
Right.
which is not a good look on him. But 10 years ago, he did address it. He was like, it was very vulgar humor. I apologize if, but I was just trying to be dark. I was trying to be edgy.
Right.
There's another recent case. It's not really a part of this, but I'll tell you about it after. But time and time again, like he's proven to be able to sort of make these movies, and whether they either become cult hits, like Slither is one of his like cult hits. What's it called? The Crimson Bolt. Super, another like cult hit. Like every time I talk to somebody that's like heard about or have watched Super, they've always had just like, oh, that movie's so cool. That movie's so fun.
Yeah.
And obviously Guardians of the Galaxy, he took a relatively unknown comic book property and pretty much made it as big as Captain America.
Right. Right.
Like everybody knows who Star-Lord is now.
Yeah. Yeah, and literally, if you would have said Star-Lord before that first movie came out, 99% of people would have been like, I don't know, is that from Star Wars? Is
he a Sith? Yeah. and you really could say that he took Chris Pratt's career into like a whole different dimension. Because at first he was just like the lovable, funny, fat guy from Parks and Rec.
Right.
Or the dude that got hit. Yeah.
And I feel like he was kind of destined to be a Seth Rogen.
Oh, yeah.
For his career. Yeah. And yes.
And then he became an action star.
Yeah.
A ginger action star. Hey, someone has to keep carry on the torch of a ginger. First it was Ron Weasley, and then it was Ed Sheeran, and then Chris Pratt.
Yep.
Because it's funny because I always knew him as the guy that John McAvoy hit with the keyboard. Or the guy that was trying to mess with what's it called? Oh no, I forgot her name. Jessica Fox. Is that her name? Megan Fox.
Yes.
In Jennifer's Body. He was like the creepy police guy that was trying to hook up with a high school student. Yeah. So like I think I was like, I think I saw those tweets too. I know I was on our Twitter, and I was like, you guys gotta relax.
Right.
Because he's about to take this into a whole different direction. He revitalized the Suicide Squad movie or franchise.
Right.
Because, man, David Aries, I feel like is like only capable of making one type of movie, and it's end of watch. Because after that, he made after the failure of Suicide Squad, he came out with Blight, which technically is a failure, but I really love that movie.
I liked it too, yeah.
But I was like, you know what? Hold on, this is just D&D end of watch.
Right. Yeah.
But super cool.
Yes.
I had fun with that. That's the type of movies that you should make. I feel like you're really good at making buddy cop movies. But James Gunn was able to kind of take this relatively unknown property, which is Suicide Squad, and then kind of, revitalize it. It wasn't, not everybody loved it, but it was not as hated as the first one.
Right. Which was tough because it was... Yeah, the first one had a great cast of characters.
Yeah.
And then it just had an unfortunate...
storyline.
Yeah. A bumbly storyline.
Yeah, like it was too big for the first storyline. Like, end of the world situation. No, like give me like some criminal organization that you got to take down.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, cool. And then we can go to the end of world stuff by the third movie.
Exactly.
Not right off the gate. And it was like it was kind of too heavy on the CG stuff. So, but it was fun for what it was. I like that they had like Diablo, Croc in it and all that stuff. Right. Characters that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah. I introduced the world to Margot Robbie as Harley.
Oh, so hot.
And now it will be difficult in the future for somebody else to revamp that role.
Well, we got to see how Lady Gaga does.
But that's a very different
universe.
Yeah. There's another one where everybody just first trailer came out and people crapped all over it.
Oh, I was super excited.
Then it came out and it was like, oh my God, this is like an Oscar contender.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was like, oh, dude. First of all, have you guys ever seen Joaquin Phoenix fail? No, the dude brings it.
He does.
It's like he sacrificed his brother. Just kidding. That's terrible. I always have the Illuminati theory, you know, like Tupac got sacrificed, Biggie got sacrificed. Oh man, but you know, we're coming up to our hour, so we got to cut it short there. So hopefully you guys, if you guys stuck with us, thank you guys for sticking with us. I'm pretty sure maybe you share the same sentiments. Maybe you guys are like, oh no, you guys don't know what you're talking about, stupid.
Which is fine. That's your opinion. Yeah. Just don't scream it at everybody.
Or if you do, no, scream it so they could be like, well, let's see how stupid these guys are.
And yeah, that's right. When you're talking about us, scream it.
And then they could be like, no, you're stupid. But make sure to check out our links down below where, you know, we got Amazon affiliate stuff. You guys are going to be on Amazon anyway, getting things from like cases for your new phone or diapers.
Right.
I don't know, but we really just want some help getting a couple steaks at the Texas Roadhouse here in Las Vegas, and you know, we could wear our Patrick Swayze outfits, our Canadian tuxes.
Yeah, affiliate link to victory.
Yeah.
And of course, we got our socials. That is going to be the easiest way for you guys to disagree with what we said in this episode. You know, just comment and comment and blow us up. Yeah. Make the world know that we're schmoes or that we are right on.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us. My name is Barry.
This is Colby.
And this is Who Watches This. I don't know who's going to do our theme music, so we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.